Give me just a second. Let us get set up here, and then we will get started. It is our live Q&A tonight. We usually do this on Mondays. I do not think I'll be doing one next Monday because that is the week of QuailCon, and I've got a lot of stuff to do. But we are live tonight. So welcome, everybody. We're all glad you're here. So this is a rapid fire Q&A. So if you have any questions, feel free to just ask your questions. I'm only going to be reading the questions tonight. So if you have any questions, feel free to put a couple question marks or exclamation points at the beginning and or at the end so I can see it a little bit better. And we will try to help you out on your journey with Coturnix Quail. I do have my helper here, Madison. And so we will try to help you. So go ahead and ask your questions. We will wait a few minutes to see if there's any questions here. While we're waiting, I will talk to you a little bit about QuailCon. We had a pretty long day. Sorry. I don't know who that was. So we did get quite a bit of stuff done, which is pretty exciting. And we had a scare. Jenna Gregorick, which is part of MPIP, has been, from my understanding, planning on coming from the beginning. And I emailed her yesterday with the times that she's going to be speaking and this, that, and the other. And then she emailed me, and I have not been able to get to all my texts and emails today, but it just so happens that I looked just a little bit ago. And I saw one from her. I opened it up real quick, and I noticed, and then I read it, and she said, "Oh, I can't make it." And I said, so then I contacted Jim, and I was like, "Jim, buddy, I need you here for MPIP." And he's like, "Not a problem." And I said, "Dude, you're a lifesaver." So problem solved. Jim spoke last year, and from what I heard, he was the most. That was the best talk. That everybody enjoyed the most. So that's very exciting. So he'll be back, and so I'm excited about that. The other thing we did was, Maddie, why don't you just hand me one of those? So we got all of our raffles done, and this year, this is our raffle box. You can go to the raffles and just put them in, and Jenna was busy, so I had to write them myself, so it's not the best, but you get the point. You get the point. So like this one says, Wynola Ranch and Myshire Farm Edition Cage. Special thanks to Wynola Ranch and quailcage.com. Check that out. But we've got Electric Iris 3D is going to be doing a $50 gift card. We've got the Myshire Edition Cage. We've got a beehive from the Bee Guy Supplies. We've got a Barado incubator from Premier One Supplies. We've got a 3-tier Wynola Ranch cage. We've got Dale's Quail's brooder. We've got a Nurturite 360, and both incubators that we're going to be doing. So the Nurturite 360 and the Barado, I actually bought. Give me those little things right there. Yep. I actually bought and just came in a Govee for each one because you know how I feel about incubators, even the free ones. So those will be coming with the incubators, and then we also have a Dale's Quail's cage. So that's pretty exciting. And then Wynola Ranch contacted me today and said that they are going to be giving away a 6-tier cage, but the only stipulation is they wanted to give it away. They did not want it to be a raffle. They didn't want us to sell it. They just wanted to give it away for somebody that spent their time, money, and energy coming. So I'm very excited about that. So we'll be giving that away. They're also going to be sending me some stuff to sell. And they said that they're also going to be adding 10 troughs for free. And I'll be able to give those out as well. So there's going to be free giveaways to lucky winners as well. So that was all kind of fun and good. I do see a question. I'm going to go through it just real quick. I think that's pretty much the updates on QuailCon. I do believe. I've got a pretty busy day tomorrow, plus I need to get my phone done because I didn't do it today, so we'll see how that goes. But I think I've wasted enough of your time. Hopefully you enjoyed what I said. I did finish up my speech today, which is pretty exciting. I made a handout for everybody, typed my speech out, practiced it. So I'm pretty excited about that as well, to mark that off my to-do list. And I'm pretty happy with it. So now I just have to memorize it. All right, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask. We'll be happy to help you on your journey with Caternix Quail. If you're just joining in, my name is Zach. We do this every Monday. It is a rapid fire. I'm only going to be reading the questions. So if you have any questions, put some question marks at the beginning and or at the end so I can see it a little bit easier. And obviously I've got my helper tonight, Madison. Last thing I do want to mention before I get started is Ed Got Bait and Verna Young are my moderators on here. They're leaders in the community, in the quail community. And Ed is actually in the hospital right now. Asthma issues, pneumonia. We're not 100% sure exactly, or at least last time I heard. But he is in the hospital, so our prayers and wishes are going out to him to feel better. I do see him tonight. You need to take it easy and get off of here and try to get some sleep. Sleeping in a hospital is not fun. So so there is that. Welcome everybody. We're all glad you're here. Thank you very much for the birthday wishes. Let's see. Again, tonight's rapid fire. I know I've wasted about 7 minutes of your time, but I'm only going to be answering the questions tonight, so we will get right into it. Shaz is in the house, says sex link. Am I correct in understanding that you can keep breeding sex links in generation, but color reverses? No, color does not reverse. When you put Egyptian, when you put Egyptian males with wild females, you'll get sex links every time, but they hatch out opposite. So it would take you 2 generations to be able to produce another sex link cage. And if there's anybody that has any questions, I answer the question, and you don't understand it completely, feel free to ask again, and I will try to be more specific for you. Let's see. Jen D says, how old do your quail need to get to be before you start hatching your own eggs? And when do you change their food for laying? That's a great question. So if it's standard size quail, what age? Do you know?
No idea. I'm very bad at that.
All right. So for standard size quail, I recommend you transfer them over from the beginning of week 7 to the end of week 7. And that is... it's half and half starter grower, half layer feed, and then at the end of that week you transition them completely over to the layer feed. If it's jumbos, then you would do that from the beginning of week 9 to the end of week 9, so that at the beginning of week 10 they're on their layer feed. So that answers the latter question. And typically they'll start laying at about 5.5 to 6 weeks old. Typically, the best practice is to let those eggs go for 7 days. So eat them, do art crafts with them, give them away, whatever. They're fine to eat. But as far as getting best results, it's better to let them go for about 7 days, and then you can start incubating. I lost myself. Oh, La Rochelle Farm says water trough. I was thinking a horizontal nipple giveaway would be much better. I'm a trough guy. The horizontal nipples are just not something that we are going to sponsor or advertise here at Myshire Farm. I hear what you're saying, but not for me. Let's see. Katrina says, the raffle, should we be bringing a certain type of cash for these dollars, fives, etc.? Yeah, so that's a great question. The raffles are going to be $1 a ticket. In fact, I just had them. I think it's over there. Scoot back a little bit. Okay, I don't see them now. Oh, there they are. They're behind the suggestion box, that little white box.
This?
Nope. back there. Just a little, yep, that's it. So, I will go over the raffles real quick in case anybody's interested. So they will be $1 a piece, but obviously if you buy more, there will be discounts. I haven't fully decided yet, but I think last year it was 15 for 20. So like, you know, $1 a piece or $15 for 20 raffles, you get a little bit of discount. We'll probably do raffle increments of like 1, 10, 20, and 50. That seems to be what we did last year, and it seemed to work out pretty well, and everybody was happy with it. So yeah, they'll be cash only. And I actually did go ahead and put that back over there. I did just invest in an automatic card reader where you can just tap it. We're going to try to do that at the raffles if we need to. I'm hoping we don't have to. I'd rather keep that in the barn so that when people buy chicks or live birds or hatching eggs or supplies or whatever, you know, that'll go a lot faster. But we will have that in case nobody brings cash or somebody doesn't bring the cash. It's a great question. David Lister says, do standard size quail begin pipping earlier than the jumbo size? A little bit. I mean, so the larger the egg, the longer it takes to hatch. So obviously the standard size eggs are a little bit smaller than the jumbo size eggs, but not a ton. We're talking 12 to 18 hours at the most. It's a good question. I think you had more. We went to put our 30 Autumn Amber eggs in lockdown today, and they were already pipping. That's usually more of a sign of a little bit higher of a temperature. Day 15 is a little early, but I would leave everything the same, and they'll just start hatching out day 16, day 17, and you're still fine. But usually that means your tip's about a half a degree high. Texas Top Shelf Reptiles said, let's get the thumbs up. Absolutely, thank you. Glenn Wells says, I have a hen that had her neck tore pretty serious injury. My question is, what kind of rule of thumb do you use to determine call or save? The aggressive roux has been removed from Covey. The aggressive roux has been removed from the Covey rule. Okay, so it really depends on where you're at in your quail raising. When we started, we really tried to save everything. You know, we would use this, we would use that. We'd have a hospital cage so that they could do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. We did, at that point in time, we gave them a week and a half to recover. And if it still didn't look good after that, then we would call. That was our time limit on that. Nowadays, if something gets injured in any way, we pretty much just call it. But again, it really depends on where you're at on your quail journey. But if you're starting out and you really want to save as many as you can, I gave them a week and a half in the quail hospital, and most of them, 95% of them, recouped and were able to go back in the cage after that. Let's see. Back porch preppers in the house. I live in South Alabama. If I order 50 jumbo wild hatching eggs, how long for a wait to receive them? The jumbo wilds are 16 weeks. The jumbo whites are 1 to 2 weeks. The jumbo Egyptians are about 4 to 6 weeks. The jumbo mix is 4 to 6 weeks. The jumbo sex links are 3 to 5 weeks, and the jumbo white wings are 16 weeks. I'm getting caught up on some, but the wilds they just keep ordering. I'm actually gonna take them off the website shortly because I got to get these out, and we're already in November shipping for who orders now, and so yeah, I'm gonna be taking those off probably right after QuailCon. Beyond the Path is in the house. Welcome. Glad you're here. Katrina's in the house. Welcome. Janet says, real quick, what was that you flashed when you said you didn't trust incubators? Oh, let me see it again. The little govies. It's called a govie. It's a thermometer hygrometer. So you put this inside the inside the incubators, and it's like a checks and balances for your temperature and humidity. And we ordered, this was probably, I don't know, 6-7 months ago, I can't remember. But we ordered about 10 to 12 different thermometers, hygrometers on Amazon and eBay and stuff like that. And I was really not happy with any of them until we got to the govie. It seemed to be very, very accurate. It is Bluetooth monitored, so you can actually download the app and then you can see on your phone. You know how like they have, like it'll monitor like each hour, like did it go down, did it go up, what was the humidity, so you can really track it really, really well. We don't do that here, but it is very, very accurate. So we keep that in there, and this is what we read. We don't look at the incubators anymore. Texas Top Shelf Reptile says, can you explain how long the pipping process takes, and when should I wonder if it's going to hatch after it is pipping? Do you help them out if the shell do you help them out of the shell? Okay, so no, I don't help them out of the shell. Usually they're extremely weak if you do that and they don't survive. If they're pipping and they're not hatching out within about 12 hours, it's because your humidity is too low. So you've got to bump up that humidity. Now, increasing that humidity will help them hatch out rather than you physically doing it. And when you do that, they're a lot more likely to thrive once they're born. So I would increase your humidity about 7 to 10%, and that should fix your issue for you. Beyond the Path says, during hatches, I open my incubator once every 24 hours to remove any chicks. Good job. This seems like no matter what, I vacuum seal some chicks every hatch. Is there a way around this? Well, you could wait 48 hours. I don't like doing that, but you could. The other thing is make it very quick. So typically, instead of opening up the incubator, taking one out at a time and putting it in the brooder, typically you'll take a little basket, open up the incubator, put the basket inside, put them all in the basket. That'll only take 15-20 seconds at the most. You take the basket out, you put the lid back on, and then there's no issue. So doing it as quickly as possible will help you a lot. And we do 24 hours here, and we hardly ever have any vacuum seal, but we've got a process where it doesn't take us hardly any time at all to open and close. I mean, it's not open for more than 15 seconds. Yeah, it's not open for more than 15 seconds here. Would you... Jesse Mills is in the house. Welcome. AZ Highlands in the house. Welcome. Let's see. Janet's in the house. Welcome. Beyond the Path is in the house. Natasha Watkins is in the house. Are there any international sites that ship to New Zealand that don't charge the earth for shipping, needing labels, cartons, etc.? Not that I am aware of. Anyone that ships, or any, USPS, UPS, FedEx, shipping internationally, especially for cartons, because you have to order so many and it's heavy. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for shipping. HJ says, my nurture at 360 humidity keeps dropping to 27% at around 6 a.m. every day. Today is day 5. I increase it as soon as possible, but is there a way to maintain it at 40% overnight? Actually, I'm actually going to tell you to do the opposite. Just let the humidity go. Don't worry about it until lockdown. Now, it does sound like when you go to lockdown, you're going to need to help it. So yeah, you're going to take a little
what?
Plastic Tupperware. That's the word I was thinking. Why weren't you helping?
Well, I didn't know if it was Quail related.
You'll take a little Tupperware bowl or something like that, put that in there, fill it up with half water, and put a sponge or a washcloth in there, and that'll bump up your humidity dramatically, and it'll help stabilize it as well. Also, you'll probably want to stabilize it a little bit more now, so that means take a blanket or a towel and wrap your Nurturite 360 around it, and that should help your 6 a.m. thing as well as far as stabilizing. Tab Nation Automation's in the house. I have some adults already with some hatching soon. Once the chicks are old enough, will it be okay to introduce them to the adult cage? Yep, absolutely. Now, I don't recommend introducing younger quail to an existing flock until they're at least 7 weeks old. At least 7 weeks old. Cali Quail Keepers is in the house. What do you know about traveling on airline with hatching eggs? Think I can get them on carry-on and luggage wouldn't work worse than UPS trying to save on shipping. Yes, you can do carry-on. I've had a lot of people do that before. Jennifer says, just put my first eggs into lockdown, all true celadon. Let me back up for just a second. Cali Quail Keepers, I would ask if you're flying into, I know you're coming to QuailCon and I can't wait to meet you, but if you're flying in, I would just ask, hey, I'm coming home with, some, I wouldn't say hatching eggs, I would say, some, eating eggs for my dietary purpose, whatever, and just see what they say, because they change, the TSA changes the rules all the time, but, I mean, I've probably had 60 to 80 people take them on planes. They were here for vacation or whatever, and they do carry on. Jennifer says, just put my first eggs into lockdown, all true celadon and Nurturite 360, crossing fingers for a great first hatch rate. Thanks for your advice. Wonderful. Best of luck to you. And I wish you all the best. Scott Ross is in the house. Welcome. Glad you're here. My Ranger buddy says, my incubator ran at 98.6 for the past 6 days. This morning I caught it and brought it up a degree to 100.2. Should I start the hatch over or will it just take longer? When should I do lockdown? So, great questions. Glad you found it now. They're going to hatch late, so just be prepared. It's not the end of the world. There's a few of them that you'll probably see blood rings on that won't hatch, but the majority is still good. Do lockdown the same day still. Don't change that. But you're going to keep them into lockdown until about day 23 or 24, and just make sure you maintain it going forward. So they'll just hatch late, so not the end of the world. And just make sure you have high humidity so that as soon as they're ready to hatch, they can break through at lockdown. High humidity at lockdown. Joy's in the house from Western Oregon. Welcome. Glad you're here. Woman of Spirit is in the house. Blessings all around, beautiful quail people. Thank you. Janet says, thanks, Zach, for the Govee info. Not a problem. Glad we could help. David Lister says, what are your thoughts about putting a small bowl of rice in an incubator to lower humidity? We've done that once, actually, and it worked well. I haven't done that in... How old are you?
10.
Probably haven't done that in about 9.5 to 10 years. But it did work. I do remember it working. So I don't know. I can't tell you the pros and the cons. I remember Jenna doing it and I going, what are you doing? And she's like, I can't get the humidity down. I can't get the humidity down. And then she did that and it worked out well. But I don't remember a lot past that. I lost my spot. HJ says, my kiddos are interested in raising bantam or frizzle chickens. Can they live in the same coop or in the same or in a side-by-side area with quail? They can't. It's not recommended they are raised in the same coop. That's not a great idea. It's not a best practice. There needs to be some. Here's the thing. Even bantams, I know they're small chickens, but they're still quite a bit larger than the quail. The problem is is anything that can, any diseases that the chickens might have might not affect them because they're larger and they're more adapt to that. But if it reaches the quail, they have such a smaller immune system because they're so small. That could affect the quail. So you kind of want some sort of space. I don't know if it's anymore, but I know Mark from La Rochelle Farm had his chickens on one side and his quail on the other. Now, he might have changed that stuff around. I'm not too sure. But he never had any issues with it from my understanding. But they were on opposite sides of the building. I've never done it. I've never had anything in with our quail. Oh, you know what? At the very beginning, we had a wall up and a door, and on this side of the door was the quail, and on this side of the door was the chickens, actually. And we never had any issues.
I don't remember that.
Well, you were tiny. Tanya says, excited for QuailCon. Awesome, me too. Leaving Central Texas early to visit family on the way up to Ohio. Very cool. I can't wait to meet you, and I'm very excited about it. Let's see. Linda says, we're doing the same thing, Tanya, leaving Texas to Tennessee to visit for a day and then on to Ohio. We're so excited. Hope to see you there. Absolutely. I can't wait to meet you as well. Yusuf is in the house. Welcome. Haven't seen you for a while. Haven't been here in a long time. How are you, Quail community? Well, welcome. We're glad you're here. Feathered Connections Homestead says, have you tested out the Brencia countertop incubator yet? No, we have not. I was trying to start to do incubator reviews now that we're kind of caught up with our standards, and I could use some eggs to do that. And with QuailCon, it was too much. So yeah, those will start after QuailCon. Glenn Wells says, got 34 jumbo wilds to hatch from my order, which I'm extremely happy with, especially since I had to deal with high Mississippi humidity and a malfunctioning egg turner. Human error is usually what it is. Well, that's not bad. Congratulations, and thanks for letting me know. If you can, either let me know now or text me how many hatched out of how many you ordered, and I'll make sure I write that down, unless you've already told me, but I don't think you have. La Rochelle Farm says, I do have them in the same barn, but separated. Yep, that's what I thought. Feathered Connections Homestead says, you mentioned on last week's live that larger jumbos, in your experience, tend to have shorter life with other issues. Have you noticed that more predominantly with the Pharaoh color? No. Nope. The Pharaoh color is easier to get to a much larger size, but we got our Egyptians up to a really large size and had the same issue. So that's why they're not as big. And the whites. Yeah, no, it's not just the wilds, it's any color. They're just not, their legs, their bones, because they grow so fast at such a rapid rate, they're just not made to have all that weight on their legs and feet, and especially in cages and things. It's not made for it. They're not made for that big, in my opinion. Jennifer says, I may have unfortunately made my brooder too tall. Is there anything I can do? Hold on. I may have unfortunately made my brooder too tall. Is there anything I can do to pad or correct the height difference? Well, I have a problem with them breaking necks. I think I measured it at 20 inches. For the brooder, that's really not that big of a deal. You're fine. Yeah, they really won't start jumping or anything crazy like that until they're about 5 or 6 weeks old. So yeah, it's not a big deal at all. You're right above where it should be anyway. I wouldn't worry about it at all. I think you're good to go. I wouldn't worry about it at all. I think you're fine, especially because it's a brooder. Good thinking, but you're fine. Glenn says, all chicks were perfect until this morning. I noticed one walking around like a hunchback. It seems happy. I was just wondering if you've seen anything like that I should do, and if I should do so. Yeah, if it wasn't born like that, then it's most likely a feed nutrition issue. Give them some electrolytes in the water, and that should help them for the next couple of days, and then you should be good to go. La Rochelle Farm says, but when I looked into NPIP, they said, oh no, they need to be completely separated. I believe that. That makes sense. Makes sense. I mean, I don't think it's necessary, but I believe that's what they said. Gary says hello from North Carolina. Zach, welcome. We're glad you're here. What is a good weight for jumbo eggs?
I don't know.
I try to keep mine between 15 and 18 grams. 14 and 18 grams is what I try to keep mine at. I like mine a little on the smaller end because they have much better hatch rates. They're much better to ship. And it's one generation and you can get that up to, consistently 18 to 19 grams. But I like to keep mine between 14 and 18. Jennifer says, since I'm doing 100% Celadon, I've heard that they can be more aggressive to each other. What's your suggestion for selective calling of meanies? I don't agree with that. When we were pretty heavy into the Celadons, trying to do what we wanted to do with them, I really didn't see a lot of aggression. I definitely didn't see any extra aggression compared to others. I don't think that's... I mean, I guess it depends on... Well, usually aggression is an environmental issue. Not always. Obviously, you need a breed for calmness and not aggression and things like that. But usually it's an environmental issue. So make sure that it's 5 hens to every 1 male. Make sure that it's 3 quail per square foot. And that will resolve a lot of it. Make sure that there's food and water at all times. That eliminates a majority of any aggression issues. And the rest of it is just selective calling. So you see anything that's even remotely acting like a jerk, you just pull it out and say you're done. But most of it, I mean, I don't want to put a number on it, but it's high. A high majority is a lot of environmental issues. Feather Connections Homestead says, as far as the Pharaoh color, I've noticed right at the 8-month mark molting, then not getting feathers back like ever. Seem to age much faster. Looks like crap by 8 months. Ideas. That's a little weird. At 8 months. That's a little strange. I would... if that seems to be your trend, this is what I would do if I were you. I would, about 2 weeks, so when they're 7 months and 2 weeks old, I would throw some electrolytes in the water, and I would do that from the 7-month, 2-week mark until probably the 9-month mark, and probably give them electrolytes in the water once every week, once every 2 weeks. I guess, I mean, it's kind of a weird, I don't know why they're not doing great after 8 months. That's kind of weird to me. I'd probably do it once a week. And then once you see the molt is over and they're starting to recoup, I'd throw some rooster booster into the feed. But it's a little strange. I'll need to think about that. That shouldn't be happening at all. Feather Connection says also not from your jumbo lines, FYI. Well, there's your problem. Just joking. Yusuf says, wow, now I'll get into the habit of getting on live streams again. We'd love to have you back. Gary's in the house. Welcome. Glad you're here. Katrina says, Zach, mine jump pretty good. In the brooder, when they start popcorning, I use a window screen as lid so they just bounce back. There you go. We actually have 1/4-inch wire on top that's a little loose, and that helps a lot too. So that's a good idea as well. And obviously the window screen. That's probably a better idea. That's probably a better idea than what we do. It's a good idea. Cheryl says, what is the best scale to weigh eggs and adult jumbos? It's a good question. I never remember what it is, but I use the same brand for the past 6-7 years, and I love it. And it's actually on our Amazon store. I put that on there because I never could remember it. So if you go to Amazon.com/shop/Myshire Farm, it'll be in the Myshire Farm recommendations. The scale will be on there, but I can't remember what it's called. I'm sorry. It's a great question. I just never remember it. Madison, what is your favorite type of quail? Well, what's your favorite quail color?
Whites.
Yeah, the jumbo whites are almost becoming mine as well.
Really?
I've been working a lot with them the past 6-8 months. So, I kind of like those a lot too. So her favorite's the jumbo white. Jennifer says, "Oh, that's a great idea. I just have hardware wire. Maybe I can put a screen barrier and they can bounce around and not hurt themselves. Thanks for the suggestion." Yeah, that was a great suggestion. Thanks for sharing. Natasha says, "I have interest from restaurants in our tourist spots. And at what age would you call quail for restaurants?" 8 weeks. So a lot of people, you'll hear a lot of different answers from 6 weeks to 10 weeks. 10 weeks is when they're fully mature. That's when they're the largest. Sure. We did that for years because that was just the standard. That's just what you did. And then some people do 6 weeks. They're a little too small for me. So we started doing the research and we noticed that between 6 weeks and 8 weeks, they grow quite a bit. But between 8 weeks and 10 weeks, they don't grow very much. It's like, I don't remember the numbers. I'd have to look, but I'm pretty sure it's less than 1/2 of an ounce on average. And it's just not worth keeping them those extra 2 weeks. So we butcher at 8 weeks, and that's what I recommend. Feather Connections Homestead says, "Zach, I'll ask you more in person at QuailCon because we've been racking our brains trying to figure out what's going on, like basically pre-pluck themselves for dinner inbreeding." There you go. Yeah, I'll need to think about it. Verna says, "Madison, what jewelry do you have ready for QuailCon?"
Necklaces, ornaments, earrings, charms.
Are you selling this one? Madison is going to be selling some necklaces and things like that at QuailCon. Something like that. Pretty cute. Oop. There you go. So that's exciting. What made you want to get into quail farm business? I hate chickens, and we got into quail. We fell in love with quail. I love everything about it. I think it's really easy for people to start being more self-sufficient with quail. The fast turnaround time, the egg laying, the consistency of the eggs, how easy they are to raise. I mean, we just loved everything about them, and we wanted to share that with everybody else. Let's see. Mary says, "Zach, a bully in my cage caused one of my chicks to bleed pretty bad. I took him out of the cage, and he will be going to freezer camp." What's freezer camp?
I have no idea.
It's when you kill it. It's when you butcher it. Should I put an antibiotic ointment on her head? You can. There's not a wrong or right answer there. You can. They actually heal really, really well on their own. So obviously the antibiotic ointment will not hurt, but they'll heal within a week and a half by themselves as long as you take her out of the cage. So either way, it wouldn't hurt. Jennifer says, "Explain balutes. How old are they when edible? Are they humanly euthanized before eating?" Actually, I've got a video on the balut system. Verna, if you will be so kind to put that link in there, the balut video for me, I greatly appreciate it. That will give you a lot more information, but we put them in no later than from 7 days. We put them in the incubator no later than 7 days from when they're laid. They're in the incubator from anywhere from 12 to 14 days, but 97%, 95% of the time they're in the incubator for 12 days. We box them up, we take them straight to the customers, and then they let them sit on the counter for up to, I think it was 48 hours on average, and then they boil them and you're good to go. And that was a fast, but there's a video about it. And Verna put the link in there for you. Feather Connections Homestead says, oh, she's the cutest. I'm going to buy all the things from her.
Thank you.
You owe me.
What?
I bought all the supplies.
No, you did not. You little liar.
Madison. Madison.
Maybe about half the stuff.
Am I going to get paid back for that?
No, you're not.
Sound like your mother. Linda says, Christmas ornaments, Madison? If so, I will definitely buy one.
Yes.
They are. They will be Christmas ornaments. Verna says, Madison, that is beautiful.
Thank you.
Jennifer says, for decorative purposes, what's the best way to empty, dry out eggs if that's something you or Madison do?
What?
How do you blow them out?
Werner does that for me.
I see. So I buy the supplies. Verna blows them out. What do you do?
I color them.
Okay.
And make the charm part.
And make the charm part. I see. Okay. I think maybe you should get a little bit more involved, but okay. Empty, dry out eggs. So usually it's best you just poke a little hole and then take a syringe and you'll be able to blow that out. Ed got bait. I know he's not available tonight, but he actually has a perfect system down that hopefully I can get with him after QuailCon, and he can share that with you, or he can walk me through it and I'll share it with you, whatever the case may be. But he's got it down to a science. So we'll do that after QuailCon, but his method would be a lot better than what we've tried or done before. Yusuf says, oh wow, that jewelry looks cool.
Thank you.
Mary says, should I be able to sex at 5 weeks old? If they're feather sexable, yes. If they're not feather sexable, it's between 6 and 8. So if you're not familiar on how to vent sex, it'll probably be about 7.5 to 8 weeks old before you can. And the more you do it, you can get down to about 6 weeks. HJ says, if the chicks are not feather sexable, do you notice a body shape difference between males and females? Females a little rounder and males smaller, slimmer? No. Very inconsistent. Some, like, once you think, oh, I figured it out, then the next 15 will be wrong, and you'll be like, okay. So, no, very, very inconsistent. That is all the questions. So, what are you guys doing? Like, are you and the kids, like, for my birthday tomorrow, gonna, like, bust butt on the farm and get stuff done on my to-do list? Like, is that my birthday present?
Maybe.
Probably not.
Something came in for you today. But you can't have it, sorry.
Well, how about you just help me get my to-do list done?
Okay, fine.
Fine. All right, everybody, thank you very, very much for showing up. I really appreciate you. We will be back Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a live Q&A. I think that'll be the last one we do before QuailCon. And then I am going to do a special live Q&A for just QuailCon ticket holders, probably on that Wednesday or Thursday, so that you can get any questions out of the way and you're more comfortable coming and you know what to expect and things like that. But that'll be later next week, so make sure you stay tuned to that. And anyone that's purchased a ticket, I'll be texting you with that link, and obviously you can always ask me the questions. But until then, as always, thank you very much for stopping by, and we will see you next time. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.